Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, Marching to Zion.
We're marching up to Zion, that beautiful city of Yah. We're marching up to Zion, that beautiful city of Yah. We're marching up to Zion, that beautiful city of Yah. We're marching up to Zion, that beautiful city of Yah.
Come ye that love Yah, and let your joys be known. Join in a song with sweet accord. Join in a song with sweet accord, and thus surround the throne. Oh, and thus surround the throne. Oh, and we're marching.
We're marching up to Zion.
To Zion.
That beautiful city of Yah.
And we're marching.
We're marching up to Zion. That beautiful city of Yah.
Those who refuse to sing, who never knew our Yah, but children of the heavenly King, but children of the heavenly King may speak their joys abroad. Oh, may speak their joys abroad. Oh, and we're marching.
We're marching up to Zion.
To Zion.
That beautiful city of Yah.
And we're marching.
We're marching up to Zion. That beautiful city of Yah.
The hills of Zion yields 1,000 sacred sweets. And when we reach Zion's field, and when we reach Zion's field, we'll walk the golden streets. We'll walk the golden streets. Oh, we're marching.
We're marching up to Zion.
That beautiful
city of Yah.
Oh, we're marching.
We're marching up to Zion.
That beautiful
city of Yah.
Then let our songs abound, and every tear be dry. We're marching through Emmanuel's ground. We're marching through Emmanuel's ground, and thus surround the throne. Oh, and thus surround the throne. Oh, we're marching.
We're marching up to Zion.
That
beautiful city of Yah.
Yes, we're marching.
We're marching
up to Zion.
That beautiful city of Yah.
Oh, we're marching.
We're marching up to Zion.
That beautiful
city of Yah.
That we're marching.
We're marching up to Zion.
That beautiful, that wonderful, that glorious, victorious, that beautiful, that wonderful,
that wonderful.
wonderful. Said that glorious. It's victorious. That beautiful. That wonderful. City.
The oracles of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as dear children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becomes saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you upon earth, therefore let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Which is peace on Yahweh's holy Sabbath day. Welcome to another holy convocation that Yahweh has enjoined unto us here in Stone Mountain, Georgia. As we have been paying attention, things are increasing in the earth, but we have been studying our culture for a while. We understand that for redemption to come to the children of Israel, the world is going to have to be turned upside down. So these things which are going to be tumultuous are going to eventually become something of our benefit, because it's about time that the rest of the world feel the things that we have been made to feel for quite some time. And we're going to get a little bit deeper into that. But the thing that we have to do is remember, 2/3 of Israel is going to be cut off. All of Israel is not going to be able to walk in that kingdom. And Yahweh is in the process of showing who those, the remnant is, who is going to go into that land. And those are the people that will be refined. Those are the people who will be corrected. Those are the people that will not, they don't have any personal agreements or anything that overrides Yahweh's law. They don't have any personal relationships that override Yahweh's law. Even if you try to deal in man's little groups, a lot of those groups will tell you that the chief thing of their organization overrides all your other agreements. If you pledge some of these other things, they'll tell you that when they say something, it overrides your marriage, your church, your everything. Well, Yahweh, if we're going to love him with all our heart, all our soul, all our might, then there are some things that we're going to have to rearrange in our lives. And that means even dealing with our own personal relationships. You know, if the closest ones to us are causing us a problem, we have to make a decision. Are we willing to lose our salvation for those individuals? And that's a very difficult question that we have to ask ourselves. And what you'll find is Yahweh will present situations to come before us, and those things are your teaching opportunities. Sometimes he put things before you for you to learn what to do. There's other things that Yahweh present in front of you so that you learn what not to do. And you'll learn the difference between those who speak about the word, and then when the situations come, you watch that they don't do any of those things. And when Yahweh gets ready to cut them off, you can't have all of your feelings in the way. Understand, these are going to be a lot of people that we have great love for. 2/3 of Israel being cut off. That's going to hurt to even watch. But we got to get ready. And in that process, we have to make sure that we don't become overwhelmed with the things that are being presented unto us. Now, when I was young, we used to drive by this gym that was owned by a famous bodybuilder. The statue out front had a muscle-bound man carrying the weight of the world on his back. This statue gave the impression that a mere man could handle the weight of the world on his back. This statue placed all the emphasis on man's physical abilities. This statue ignored the mental anguish that the weight of the world would put upon a man's mind. This also upheld the stereotype of a physically strong man, which is, if he is strong, he can do this by himself. Absolutely nothing could be farther from the truth. Man was a perfect creation of Yahweh, yet he determined that it was not good for the man to dwell by himself. It was also not good for a man to battle the adversary, the devil, by himself. It is also not good for him to attempt to carry the weight of the world, or maybe even the weight of his world, by himself. Brother, read this next thing, because as you know, I used to drive by this thing when I was young. I didn't know, this was our people dealing in Greek mythology, which is what the man holding up the world was. Go ahead.
Atlas, in Greek mythology, son of Titan Epitus and Oceanid Clemenae or Asia, and brother to Prometheus, creator of humankind.
All right, now first we got to stop right there. How many of y'all, old school wrestling? Y'all remember Tony Atlas? Mm-hmm. Y'all don't remember no Tony Atlas. Y'all remember Tony Atlas? Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. So Atlas is a Greek god that's supposed to be the man of strength. So Tony Atlas was a bodybuilder and a wrestler. Mm-hmm. Okay? So then you got something else in this first line. And brother of Prometheus. Now, if y'all watch the History Channel, everything has turned into ancient gods, right? It's ancient aliens. Mm. So they use the ancient aliens and they are the gods. Even when I was little, I always been one of those dudes that watch the credits when the program go off. Maybe that's why my little girl wanna do, movie stuff. I don't know. But I always used to be that dude that watched the credits and be like, what the hell is a key grip? You know, I could never figure that out, but I used to like to watch that part. Well, when the History Channel come on, watch them names that come down. And at the end, it'll tell you the production company that put all of it together. How about the name of it is Prometheus? Okay, so now, Prometheus, it says creator of humankind. All right, put two and two together. They will not say anything about an angel on History Channel. They always talk about an alien came to earth and presented this power to man. Prometheus. It is the name of their production company that puts the shows together. So be careful how you watch what you watch. Be careful how you hear what you hear. They put their God right in front of us. But by the time the credit's gone, we're already outside the room going to get some snacks. We ain't paying no attention that they put their God right in front of us. That they said Prometheus is the creator of mankind, not Yahweh. Go ahead.
In Homer's Odyssey, Book 1, Atlas seems to have been a marine creature who supported the pillars that held heaven and earth apart. These were thought to rest in the sea immediately beyond the most western horizon. But later the name of Atlas was transferred to a range of mountains in northwestern Africa. Atlas was subsequently represented as the king of that district, turned into a rocky mountain by the hero Perseus, who, to punish Atlas for his inhospitality, showed him the Gorgon's head, the sight of which turned men to stone. According to Hesiodus Theogony, Atlas was one of the Titans who took part in their war against Zeus, for which, as a punishment, he was condemned to hold aloft the heavens.
Right, so everything is based off Zeus being the principal god, thus the name Jesus or Jesus. Go ahead.
In many works of art, he was represented as carrying the heavens. In classical art from the 6th century BCE, or the celestial globe in Hellenistic and Roman art.
Right. So that's the thing that I would pass by as a kid, and I was amazed by this statue of this man holding up the world. So in the middle of the hood, we grow up dealing with Greek mythology, not knowing exactly what that was all about. But let's begin today's sermon in Exodus chapter 18. You see, we can read in this book, it says, bodily exercise profiteth little. There's a different kind of exercise that you need to be working on. Now, it didn't say bodily exercise does not profit. Now don't get fat and tell me that I told you to get fat, you know.
Sock said just eat these snacks and go to sleep. That's what it was right on the Sabbath day. I heard it. He said bodily exercise profiteth little. I went and got my Cheetos right at that moment.
Don't bring that here. Profiteth little. Exodus chapter 18, and let's start that at verse 1.
When Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moshe's father-in-law, heard of all that Elohim had done for Moshe and for Israel his people, and that Yahweh had brought Israel out of Egypt, then Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moshe's wife, after he had sent her back, and her 2 sons, of which the name of the one was Gershom, for he said, I have been an alien in a strange land.
You have to consider some of the things that Moshe had to go through. All right. First of all, Israel has a issue of not dealing with other nations already. So here is Moshe bringing his foreign wife with his foreign kids, and at one point he got to send her back because, you know, obviously things must have got a little bit too rough around now. He'd look here, look, these my people, but they crazy. All right. Things you're going to have to say yourself at some point. You're going to have to realize, look, these my people. But y'all need to go home because this may get ugly. Go ahead.
And the name of the other was Eliezer. For the Elohim of my father, said he, was mine help, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. And Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife unto Moshe into the wilderness, where he encamped at the mount of Elohim. And he said unto Moshe, I, your father-in-law Jethro, am come unto you, and your wife and her 2 sons with her. And Moshe went out to meet his father-in-law, and did obeisance, and kissed him. And they asked each other of their welfare, and they came into the tent. And Moshe told his father-in-law all that Yahweh had done unto Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the travail that had come upon them by the way, and how Yahweh delivered them. And Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which Yahweh had done to Israel, whom he had delivered out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Jethro said, Blessed be Yahweh, who has delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of Pharaoh, who has delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that Yahweh is greater than all gods, for in the thing wherein they dealt proudly, he was above them. And Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrifices for Elohim. And Aaron came, and all the elders of Israel, to eat bread with Moshe's father-in-law before Elohim.
Right. So even as you deal with this situation of what Moshe is going through, having to flee out of Egypt, Yahweh was still training him. Yahweh sent him to a man who is a priest, who understands all of these things, and Moshe is learning from this man. So understand the biggest part of his mental growth, he is learning all about the gods of Egypt coming up in Pharaoh's house. Then he learns about how to deal in the priesthood from another man. Understand that this is 2 different nations that he's learning this from. Understand that now. He's not learning this from Israelites. See, so Yahweh can give you the basis of everything, then turn around and at the last minute give you, all right, now here I am. Now take everything that I gave you in all them other places and put it right here. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the morrow that Moshe sat to judge the people. And the people stood by Moshe from the morning unto the evening. And when Moshe's father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, What is this thing that you do to the people? Why sit you yourself alone, and all the people stand by you from morning unto even? And Moshe said unto his father-in-law, Because the people come unto me to inquire of Elohim. When they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge between one and another, and I do make them know the statutes of Elohim and his laws. And Moshe's father-in-law said unto him, The thing that you doeth is not good.
Right. So he's seeing you're going to get overwhelmed at the way in which you have this thing coming unto you. You're not going to be able to sustain this right here. You're going to have to figure out a method of dealing with this that you don't become overwhelmed. See, even good things can overwhelm you. Go ahead.
You know, brother, man, even with that one situation, we're looking at him dealing with a whole nation, and in the thing you were talking about in a man's own world, sometimes we don't even know within the 4 corners of our house that we need to look for help outside. That's where you get people like we've had a brother way in the past. Send a text to, don't you talk to the priest, don't. Well, who are you going to talk to if I'm the only person you got to talk to and you the one getting on my nerves?
So we ain't got to worry about holding up the world. We having a problem holding up 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. But instead of seeking some help, we'll stay quiet and stay overwhelmed, and then you just come by your friend's house and realize, is that him laying under the house? Damn, he was holding up a house and it was too much. Now I just see some legs hanging out the bottom of the crawl space. Man, he could have called me. I would have helped him hold that up. But you got to ask, how much pride was involved in not seeking any help to hold up them 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths? How much pride was involved? Nah, I got this. Go ahead.
You know, Brother Ruel and I know a brother who did just that. And the only thing we all said is, why didn't he just call somebody? You hear it on the news, this man killed his wife and then killed himself. And there's someone we knew. And it's like, why didn't you just reach out? Why didn't he just reach out and talk to somebody? And that's that taking that weight of your world and not seeking help.
Right. And help is all around. But help that you don't consult ends up being no help at all. Go ahead.
Verse 18, you will surely wear away, both you and this people that is with you.
Now check that out. Now, it's one thing about being overwhelmed. You will surely wear away. But them people that you're helping, they're going to become overwhelmed too. And when they become overwhelmed, they're going to take their problems out on you. So he going to end up having a twofold problem. The weight that he has, and then the weight that they're feeling, they're going to put on him too. Because understand, every time Israel gets upset, they blame him. Every time Yahweh is dealing with Israel to try and make us reach a certain level, what do? We blame Moshe. Go ahead.
For this thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to perform it yourself alone. Hearken now unto my voice. I will give you counsel, and Elohim shall be with you. Be you for the people the Elohim word, that you may bring the causes unto Elohim. And you shall teach them ordinances and laws, and shall show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, you shall provide out of all the people able men, such as fear Elohim, men of truth, hating covetousness.
That's the part you have to examine. You know, men of truth hating covetousness. See, this is where you don't want to micromanage everything, because the bigger your organization get, the less you're going to be able to micromanage something. That means you got to put something in somebody's hand and give them the power to do that. But when you get the covetous in a position that they should not be in, they're going to use all of that to do their own thing. Go ahead.
And place such over them to be rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s and rulers of 10s. And let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring unto you, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for yourself, and they shall bear the burden with you. If you shall do this thing, and Elohim command you so, then you shall be able to endure, and all this people shall also go to their place in peace.
Now, if you shall do this thing and Elohim command you. So, in other words, I'm giving you instruction, but make sure you take that to your God. See, a lot of times, you know, if you don't read that right, you just come up, look at him, he gonna bring his little foreign self over here, and he ain't gonna talk about, no, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna give you counsel. Who the hell you talking to? So you missed that part. And Elohim command you. So even when you get the earth and the fullness therein belong to Yahweh, he uses whatever he wants to use. So he brings you something through some other means. You look and say, you know what, this sounds good. Now take it to your Elohim and tell him about it. Stop thinking that everything from Elohim gonna come from Elohim. That's what he created man for. But when you got that kind of mindset, you ain't never gonna be helped. Because you waiting for somebody to float down on a cloud, feed you manna like little Cheez-It snacks, and just throw them in your mouth. Open your mouth. There you go. Here you go to get a little manna. You ain't being realistic at all. Go ahead.
So Moshe hearkened to the voice of his father-in-law and did all that he had said. And Moshe chose able men out of all Israel and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. And they judged the people at all season. The hard causes they brought on to Moshe, but every small matter they judged themselves. And Moshe let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way into his own land.
So the small cases, they were able to judge themselves. This gives Moshe the opportunity to not be overwhelmed. In a house, people are going to have responsibilities. If not, the head of the house is going to be overwhelmed. But the head of the house also has to be careful how he deals with all of the people who have those various positions. Especially when you have different individuals that receive information in different ways. If a man comes to you and say, hey man, I'm having a problem such and such, you can roughly talk to him. All right, man, come on, man, stop doing this. If you weren't doing this, you can do this. Now get up, do this, such and such. Now, if you do that to your woman, I can guarantee you're going to have some problems. Take your feelings and put them in the bag, woman. Nobody got time for that. Come on. Yeah, we can go ahead and put a date on this one. I'm going to get him to February. February is going to be hell in this house. I'm going to go ahead and put a stamp on that one. If that's how you're going to deal with that, I can tell you, you're going to have you some problems. See, the head just can't be the head. The head got to be the power. You have to be the counselor. You have to be the lawyer. You have to be all of those things, depending on what situation comes to you. And you can't counsel by just, throwing a hammer at it. There's certain things you counsel by not saying a damn thing. Remember when them folk came up to Yahshua and they were trying to get him to do something, and he looked over and kept writing in the ground like he ain't him? Sometimes you got to do that same thing in your house. Baby, I was in here, I was doing such and such, and then all this happened over here in the kitchen. Now, if I put this triangle right by that circle, now that look nice. That look nice right there. Go ahead, brother, you finish that?
Yes.
Let's go to Numbers chapter 11. The first thing the head of the house have to learn is you can't solve everybody's problem. The more problems you solve, the more problems gonna show up. You better learn how to let some problems be some problems. Babe, I got a problem. All right, well, let me know when you finish with it. The hard cases bring to me. What? What, did y'all just, was I the only one listening when he was reading? The hard cases bring to me. But all the small matters you judge yourself. I don't need to hear about the cuff came out in the little man's pants. Bring the hard matters to me. When the mortgage didn't get paid, I'm your man. I'm your man, 50 grand, bring that to me. I gives a damn about the Netflix bill. I don't watch Netflix. Numbers chapter 11, let's read verses 1 through 15.
And when the people complained, it displeased Yahweh. And Yahweh heard it, and his anger was kindled, and the fire of Yahweh burnt among them, and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And the people cried unto Moshe, and when Moshe prayed unto Yahweh, the fire was quenched.
And when Moshe prayed unto Yahweh. Now, whether you know it or not, this is a overwhelming weight upon Moshe. And the people cried unto Moshe. So, this is now reinforcing to them, when we have a problem, we get him hell. It's all his fault. And then he will go to Yahweh and fix that. So, he needed to have some weight off him because some of this weight is already increasing in another area. Because see, all you got to do with us is let something happen on 2 Tuesdays. And you have not signed an agreement for the rest of your life. You don't believe me? Go give your woman flowers on 2 Tuesdays in a row. You think this conflict with Russia and Ukraine is something. Don't have those flowers that 3rd Tuesday and see what happens. Go ahead, you bad? Come on, Cletus. You bad? Go ahead. I challenge every last one of you. 2 Tuesdays. Come on. Next Sabbath we're going to see you. Right, it must be the third Tuesday. Right. Go ahead, brother.
And he called the name of the place Taberah, because the fire of Yahweh burnt among them. And the mixed multitude that was among them fell a-lusting. And the children of Israel also wept again.
Right,
and said,
and understand something now. We got a mixed multitude among us, even being amongst us. Because you got all these different cultures. See, you got some of us who look like us, but they Buddhists. You got others that practice Islam. You got others that practice one branch of Islam. Then we got, 55 groups of Christians. Then we got 37 different groups of Hebrews. I'm sorry, but just among us, there's already a mixed multitude. You're going to have some people talking about their Hebrews. They're going to be out in the wilderness trying to gift wrap pine cones and hand them to each other, talking about Merry Christmas.
Did you give me this pine cone? That was so sweet.
Are you crazy? There's a mixed multitude right among us. Go ahead.
and said, Who shall give us flesh to eat? We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic.
Right. See, if you want to get, they say, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. I can pretty much tell you that's biblical. Listen to Israel. We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt. Never mind, we were slaves. Okay, let's just take the slave part and let's just put it right here on this shelf. All right, let's just sit it right there. Now, we remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. So we want to make sure it's seasoned just right. You can put us in captivity, but are you going to feed us well? This is a strange group of people. Go ahead.
Now our soul is dried away. There's nothing at all beside this manna before our eyes.
Now you gonna give us this heaven bread. Don't nobody want this. I mean, y'all ain't gonna put no garlic on it and no seasoning on that. Yeah, you just gonna give us this heaven bread. Nobody want this no more. We sick of this light bread. Go ahead.
And the manna was as coriander seed, and the color thereof as the color of bdellium. And the people went about and gathered it, and ground it in mills, or beat it in a mortar, and baked it in pans, and made cakes of it. And the taste of it was as the taste of fresh oil.
Right. To this day, if you go to a good restaurant, they give you that bread and bring that oil out there. Some will be full before the meal come out. But we done tore up that manna with that oil.
Excuse me, can you put that under the to-go box? This bread done got me.
We ain't ate none of the meal. Because we done tore up the bread. Right. But this also shows you our ingenuity when it comes down to something. The people went about and gathered it and ground it in meals and beat it in mortar and baked it in pans and made cakes of it. You know what they call low on the hog was those parts that the slave master didn't eat. So they cut off the feet and the organs, the intestines. What we do, find a way to eat it. And the intestines on a pig is horrible. Those chitterlings is what they call. We call them chitlins. And they smell like how they sound, all right? Absolutely horrid. The first time I walked in the house and smelled those, I was like, whatever that is, I'm not eating it. I don't care what that is. I want to know, so I don't accidentally eat whatever that is that has this house smelling this horrible. But they cut those parts off. They threw them across the fence. You know, legend has it the first people that ate it died. But then we figured out how to clean them intestines. We figured out a way to try and eat that stuff because, hey, they got a limited amount of food during that time, and they found a way. Hey, so you got to think about it. As much as we see Gentiles and they love pork, every time you see them in their old movies, they got a whole pig with an apple in his mouth. How many Gentiles you seen eating pig feet? You don't see nobody eating that but us. That was a slave meal. They ate high on the hog. We ate low on the hog. The low parts of the hog was the parts they cut off and threw away. And to this day, you still have people stuck in that. I remember going to the candy lady in the neighborhood, and they had that big old jar with them nasty looking pickled pig feet in it, and it looked like they were growing organs or something. I was like, ugh, what is that? Y'all growing kidneys or something in there? What's in that jar? And folks would be like, look, let me get a pickle and a pig feet. And I'd be like, oh my God. Let me get some 9-laters and some Chico sticks. No, man, I'm not eating that. And some Boston baked beans. But you can keep whatever's in that jar. You can keep that. Go ahead, bro.
Numbers chapter 11 and verse 9. And when the dew fell upon the camp in the night, the manna fell upon it. Then Moshe heard the people weep throughout their families, every man in the door of his tent, and the anger of Yahweh was kindled greatly. Moshe also was displeased. And Moshe said unto Yahweh, wherefore have you afflicted your servant?
Well, here comes the overwhelmed part. See, when we get overwhelmed, then the diarrhea of the mouth happens. So learn the symptoms of being overwhelmed. Not just learn it in somebody else. Learn it from yourself. When you start having diarrhea of the mouth, you are probably becoming overwhelmed in the situation. And instead of waiting for yourself to pop, you might want to find a way to release some of that pressure. Go ahead.
And wherefore have I not found favor in your sight, that you laid the burden of all this people upon me? Have I conceived all this people?
See now he upset now. Am I their daddy? Now see, this is what happens when you get overwhelmed. You forget who you're talking to. That's what happens when you get overwhelmed. You forget who you're talking to. You ever catch somebody at the job and they remember by the end of the sentence that they're talking to their manager? You know what? I'm tired of doing all this stuff. And then you get it right there that moment. They realize that is the manager, ain't it? And you like, he just figured it out. That's what being overwhelmed do for you. You done said 3-4 sentences before you realize who you talking to. Go ahead.
Were you on the job site with me and my boy Thursday?
Hey, no, man.
Cause he doggone sure got overwhelmed. I had to, hey, who you think you talking to?
Hey. Well, you know the young boy. I remember working with my boy. He said, well, you know, my daddy has Friday off. I'm going to have Friday off too. I said, little boy, you 20 what? You ain't earned no damn Fridays off. I swear for God, if I wake up and you here, on everything I love. If I come out of my bedroom and you here on Friday morning, there's going to be some furniture moving up in there. You ain't earned no Fridays off. I've been working since I was 14 years old, boy. Well, I just thought Fridays off was normal. No, it ain't. Read, man. Now you done got me in trouble.
Verse 12. Have I conceived all this people? Have I begotten them? That you should say unto me, carry them in your bosom.
He done forgot he talking to the boss. But see, you need to learn the signs of being overwhelmed. Even great people get overwhelmed. So then you have to develop some kind of system or get some kind of help that you are not becoming overwhelmed, and then you turn around and do something that causes you to lose your salvation. There's a lot of words right now. There's a lot of words considering that he could just melt you in his presence. This is who you talking to. Go ahead.
As a nursing father bears the sucking child onto the land which you swear unto their fathers.
You! Now I'm going to throw it at you. Not only, if I'm going to get overwhelmed and start running off at the mouth, I'm going to throw you in this too. You! Go ahead.
When should I have flesh to give unto all this people? For they weep unto me, saying, give us flesh that we may eat.
You see, every time. See, once they would come to him and he would pray to Yahweh, that automatically put more weight on him. Not to even mention the other little situations that they was already bringing to him. See, if you don't figure out how to orchestrate your situation, and this is in your house as well, you're going to become overwhelmed. Go ahead.
You know, brother, there's some simple things that, like you say, becoming overwhelmed, you got to look at your environment. Because lately I've got brothers, sisters, children come to me and, hey, Dad, what does this mean, or what is this? You know that fancy little gadget you have in your hand? Look it up.
Right.
Oh, no, I thought this was just for videos. You can look up stuff on this? Wow, why didn't anybody tell me?
Right. Go ahead, bro.
I am not able to bear all this people alone, because it is too heavy for me. And if you deal thus with me, kill me.
Now see, listen to the overwhelmed talk. Whenever you start pointing fingers at the other individual, and now death comes into the conversation. Somebody dying. Kill me. Oh, okay. He don't forgot who he talking to. But that's what happened when you become overwhelmed. You forget how much the person that you throwing all this at, you forget how much they actually help you. But you're not being concerned about them. All you thinking about at the point of you being overwhelmed is you. That's the only thing that matters. At that particular point, you. Go ahead.
You know, we really have to, even in those conflicts, really be careful what we make come out of our mouths, especially man to man or man to woman or woman to woman. Because provocation on the next person, you don't know what they've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in my neighborhood, I know we had a situation where the guy was upset. His stepdaughter started running off at the mouth. He's ex-military. What you gonna do, get your gun and kill me? And that's exactly what happened. So sometimes in that provocation, there's certain words you might just want to leave alone.
Yeah, the more I hear about your neighborhood, the more I want to stay in the hood. I want to be in the hood where it's safe. At first I used to say, man, these nice houses in Kish neighborhood. Nah, they kill people over here. I'm not. I'm going back to the hood. Go ahead, brother. You finish that?
And if you deal thus with me, kill me, I pray you, out of hand. If I have found favor in your sight, and let me not see my wretchedness.
Wow. So so you see that Moshe is overwhelmed by the job that Yahweh has placed upon him, and at this point he is now asking for death. See, this is the part when we just get the highlights of the story. Sometimes without dealing with all the other things, we don't see some of those things. We just see, certain little bits and pieces. But here it is. This man is overwhelmed and he is contemplating death. And see, now, y'all know it's easy for us to contemplate death because we got pistols. What Moshe we gonna do? Just keep hitting himself with a stick? Nah, you gonna pass out before you die. That's not gonna work. You can't stone yourself. You can't beat yourself with a stick. See, we cheating. So he's got to still talk to his Elohim. Let's go to our Numbers chapter 20. Numbers chapter 20, and we're going to read verses 1 through 13. And understand what all the things that we're having to deal with. Y'all realize that people are having more and more psychiatric issues just with the pandemic. with all of the loss and all of the issues and how things have changed for people. All right. Now, on top of that, now you have military conflict that's beginning to happen. That's going to be another level of stress. It's important that we don't become overwhelmed, and we still got our own issues inside of our own houses. So I've seen many Hebrews come and smile on the Sabbath day. And they straight hellions before they even get in the car in the parking lot. Go ahead.
Then came the children of Israel, even the whole congregation, into the desert of Zin in the first month. And the people abode in Kadesh, and Miriam died there and was buried there. And there was no water for the congregation, and they gathered themselves together against Moshe and against Aaron.
Notice the pattern. These people are not praying unto Yahweh. And you watch what people do. When they have issues in their life, they blame somebody else for the issues in their lives. When did you go to Yahweh about your situation? When did you pray? When did you go to your Elohim about your issue? Or did you just lean on the person who's closest to you? Go ahead.
You know, even with that, not just lean on the person, they lean on the head, because didn't he appoint 70 other people? Mm-hmm. But all you keep hearing is they go into Moshe and Aaron.
Mm-hmm. That's why sometimes I won't even come out my office. This is how we doing. I ain't going out there. I ain't only bad dude in here. Let some other these bad dudes do something. Go ahead.
And the people chode with Moshe and spake, saying, what Elohim that we had died when our brethren died before Yahweh? Mm-hmm. And why had
ain't they doing the same thing he did?
Mm-hmm.
This us. Soon as something happened, we start talking about death. This us. Moshe did it, now they doing it to him. And it very well could be Yahweh. Oh, what's the matter? You don't like to hear it? I had to hear it from you. Your turn. Go ahead.
And why have you brought up the congregation of Yahweh into this wilderness, that we and our cattle should die?
Why did you? Why did you do this? Now it's his idea. Go ahead.
And wherefore have you made us to come up out of Egypt?
You see what happens when people get overwhelmed? They take that and place that on somebody else. Instead of dealing with that situation of them being overwhelmed internally, they take all of that and point it at somebody else. You'd be amazed that when you listen to conversations, how much of it has to do with somebody else. You know, and then he, and then he, and then she, and then she. You know what I didn't hear? I didn't hear no I's and me's. What? I and me. Where are those in this situation? Oh, I was just reading some Psalms to myself. Right. Right. Keep believing that. Keep believing that. Go ahead.
To bring us in onto this evil place. It is no place of seed, or of figs, or of vines, or of pomegranates.
Oh, see, we're going right back to the food. See, here we go. Here we go. If God loved us, we'd have some garlic, some fish, nice little season, just sprinkle it right on there. We ain't got none of that. How you gonna love us? Go ahead.
Neither is there any water to drink. And Moshe and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly onto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and they fell upon their faces, and the glory of Yahweh appeared unto them. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe, saying, take the rod and gather you the assembly together, you and Aaron your brother, and speak you unto the rock before their eyes, and it shall give forth his water, and you shall bring forth to them water out of the rock. So you shall give the congregation and their beasts drink. And Moshe took the rod from before Yahweh as he commanded him.
Now, he followed that part of the instruction. Go ahead.
And Moshe and Aaron gathered the congregation together before the rock. And he said unto them,
All right.
Hear now, you rebels.
That's not part of Yahweh's instruction. That's not part of Yahweh's instruction. See, when one group get overwhelmed, they then pass their negative energy off on another group, and then that group becomes overwhelmed as well. So now you got an overwhelming party going on. All right? So pay attention to the signs here. So Moshe gets overwhelmed. He goes to Yahweh and starts saying all this stuff. Now, Yahweh let them come to him. And now they saying all kind of stuff. And now look at how he replies. Go ahead.
Hear now, you rebels. Must we fetch you water out of this rock? And Moshe lifted up his hand, and with his rod he smote the rock twice.
He wasn't supposed to hit it either. That ain't what he was supposed to say, and that ain't what he was supposed to do. But see, he angry. This is us. We get angry, we start swinging. We swing first, and we talk later. So he angry, so he done swung at the rock. Once we fetch rock, water out of this rock, you rebels! Swing, pow! Here go us overwhelmed. He's supposed to be doing one thing at the rock. He doing something altogether different at the rock. Because he done took their negative energy, and now he done brought their negative energy onto the situation. Overwhelmed plus overwhelmed equals more overwhelmed. Go ahead.
And we get to swinging.
Yeah, and here come the swinging. And we swing anything we can get our hands on. There's a stick. If he'd have had iron, he'd have threw that. Go ahead.
And the water came out abundantly, and the congregation drank, and their beast also. And Yahweh spake unto Moshe and Aaron, Because you believe me not, to sanctify me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore you shall not bring this congregation into the land which I have given them.
So now, your mouth has brought sin upon you. It says, suffer not your mouth to bring sin upon you. So now, because you were overwhelmed, now you have done some things that will not be erased. Go ahead.
This is the water of Meribah, because the children of Israel strove with Yahweh, and he was sanctified in them.
Right. It is the waters of strife. Because ain't nothing but strife going on right here, because all these people are overwhelmed. Yahweh's trying to get these people mentally ready for the things of being people in control of their own destiny. What they do? Fight against him at every turn. But in every last one of them situations, we pointing the finger at somebody else. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 3. Deuteronomy chapter 3, and we're going to read verses 23 through 29.
Verse 23. And I besought Yahweh at that time, saying, O Adonai, you have begun to show your servant your greatness and your mighty hand. For what else is there in heaven or on earth that can do according to your works and according to your might? I pray you, let me go over and see the good land that is beyond Jordan, that goodly mountain, and Lebanon. But Yahweh was angry with me for your sakes, and would not hear me. And Yahweh said unto me, let it suffice you. Speak no more unto me of this matter.
Right. I got something else for you. I ain't talking about this no more. We done talking about this. Stop asking me about going over. You ain't going. Now at this point, Moshe could have done the rest of his works real nasty. Y'all know how we do.
I mean, I ain't going over, so I mean. All right, y'all, hear y'all the commandments of Yahweh. Thou shalt not do whatever that is y'all be doing.
Yeah, y'all know how it is when we ain't gonna get. But we gonna get somebody else ready? Boy, stop. Boy, stop. Go ahead.
Get you up into the top of Pisgah, and lift up your eyes westward, and northward, and southward, and eastward, and behold it with your eyes, for you shall not go over this Jordan.
Now, you know that sometimes that make it worse.
Oh, so you gonna let me look at it? You gonna let me look? What if somebody say, oh man, I got a delicious meal. Now look, you can't eat it. But I'm gonna let you see it. Matter of fact, go ahead and smell it. But you ain't eat none of it now.
What? I don't want to see it then. Go ahead.
But charge Yahshua and encourage him and strengthen him.
Oh no! See, Yahweh make you train your replacement.
Encourage, the guy who gonna go in, after you did all this work.
What? You want me to do what? Yeah, I want you to encourage him. Encourage? Oh, I got some words I want to say to him, but I don't think that you can call that encouragement. Go ahead.
Up to this day, we still go through that on the job.
You better believe it. You better believe it. Go ahead.
For he shall go over before this people, and he shall cause them to inherit the land which you shall see.
Mm-hmm.
So we abode in the valley over against Beth Peor.
Uh-huh. That had to be a difficult situation. Let's go to Numbers chapter 27. See, it's important that we don't deal with our history the way American history deals with their founding fathers. They make everything that they do glorious. Even though they're slave owners and they have murdered, raped, and pillaged, they have absolute wonderful stories about these people as if they had no flaws and that they had no altercations. It is important that we don't tell our history like that. That we understand that even great people have flaws. Even great people have situations. We can't tell our history like these people tell theirs. Numbers chapter 27, and let's read verses 12 through 23.
And Yahweh said unto Moshe, get you up into this mountain Abarim, and see the land which I have given unto the children of Israel. And when you have seen it, you also shall be gathered unto your people, as Aaron your brother was gathered. For you rebelled against my commandment in the desert of Zin, in the strife of the congregation.
In the strife of the congregation, go ahead.
To sanctify me at the water before their eyes. That is the water of Meribah in Kadesh in the wilderness of Zin.
This is the water of strife. In the strife of the congregation, you did not sanctify me. Go ahead.
And Moshe spake unto Yahweh, saying, let Yahweh, the El of the spirits of all flesh, set a man over the congregation, which may go out before them, and which may go in before them, and which may lead them out, and which may bring them in, that the congregation of Yahweh be not as sheep which have no shepherd. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, take you Yahshua, the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay your hand upon him.
Right. This is somebody who have been working with him hand in hand as he's going to deal with Yahweh. Yahshua is near. So once he realizes, all right, I'm not going. But you can't lead these people without no leader, Yahweh. See, at some point, you have to realize that the whole journey is bigger than yourself. And as he realizes this, hey, but you got to set a good man over them. You know your people. They cannot be wandering as shepherds, as sheep with no shepherd. You know them. Go ahead.
And set him before Eleazar the priest, and before all the congregation, and give him a charge in their sight. And you shall put some of your honor upon him, that all the congregation of the children of Israel may be obedient.
Right. Yahweh not only has you train your replacement, now put some of your honor on him. Go ahead.
And he shall stand before Eleazar the priest, who shall ask counsel for him after the judgment of Urim before Yahweh. At his word shall they go out, and at his word they shall come in, both he and all the children of Israel with him, even all the congregation. And Moshe did as Yahweh commanded him, and he took Yahshua and set him before Eleazar the priest and before all the congregation. And he laid his hands upon him and gave him a charge, as Yahweh commanded by the hand of Moshe.
And what Yahweh is having done here is making sure there's not any questions as to who's the next individual in charge. So we ain't got to have this power fight when this man passes on. We already know. Go ahead and anoint this individual now in the presence of the people. Do all of these things decently and in order, so that when you are gone, there's no question. We ain't got some dude coming up from somewhere else. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to be the next leader. Who told you that? I heard it in a dream. You better go back to sleep. Let's go to Ephesians chapter 4. And if you're in front of the right brothers of Israel, they're going to put you back to sleep. You ain't got to worry about it. It's going to be nap time. They can take care of it. Ready to go night-night? Ready to go night-night? You about to go night-night. Give it up.
Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 17. This I say therefore, and testify in the Adonai, that you henceforth walk not as other Gentiles walk, in the vanity of their mind, having the understanding darkened, being alienated from the life of Elohim through the ignorance that is in them because of the blindness of their heart.
Now, you have to understand that blindness of heart comes through several different directions. See? So you have the blindness of heart because of some of the things that we have been raised up doing, but then you also have the blindness of heart that comes about when one has become overwhelmed. Because at that point you have tunnel vision and you only see the thing that you believe is going to free you from the overwhelming pressure, which in sometimes actually does the opposite. It makes you even more overwhelmed. Go ahead.
Who being past feeling have given themselves over unto lasciviousness, to work all uncleanness with greediness. But you have not so learned the Mashiach, if so be that you have heard him and have been taught by him, as the truth is in Yahshua, that you put off concerning the former conversation, the old man.
Right. That is the way the old man dealt with things. And all it takes is the right situation, and that old man popped right back up. We learn all of these things about how to deal with something. We get overwhelmed, we get angry, and the old man popped right out. And the old man started negotiating with you. You done turned to a punk. You know, back in the days, we would have already put this sucker in a bag. I'm talking yellow and blue make green Ziploc. You understand what I'm saying to you? So then the old man started messing with you. Giving me control right now. I'll take care of this for us. I'll take care of this for us. And you got to fight. Shut up. Go ahead.
That's where you lean on like-minded brothers and sisters to pull you back.
Like-minded is the key. Because he will call the wrong friend. And instead of helping you out, they help you in. You did what? Yeah, man. I did something crazy, man. I kicked in the door when I was so upset. Really? Well, look, I got a truck that's got that ram in the front. We can knock down the whole wall. That's not the friend to call. He out there revving up the engine. I was like, whoa, whoa, come
on you to turn back ignorant. I knew what was in there. Go ahead, bro.
Which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust. And be renewed in the spirit of your mind.
Be renewed in the spirit of your mind. So you got to fight that old man. You got to fight that old woman. And let me not just say old man, because there's a lot of old women around here too. Go ahead.
And that you put on the new man, which after Elohim is created in righteousness and true holiness.
Uh-huh.
Wherefore, putting away lying, speak every man truth with his neighbor, for we are members one of another. Be you angry and sin not.
You gonna get angry. But what do you allow anger to do? So when Saul says, when I consent to these things and I do them, it's not me that do them, but the sin that dwells within me. Be angry and sin not. So now anger has now taken control of the building. You are now the co-pilot and anger is driving.
Move, get another seat. I got this. How you get here? Anger brought me.
Go ahead.
Let not the sun go down upon your wrath, neither give place to the devil.
Right, because we know when you allow anger to drive, the devil in control of that whole situation at that point. You have relinquished all power. You have signed a document giving the devil power of attorney.
Here you go, devil. Whatever you do, I have agreed to it. Now go ahead. Do this for us.
Then we want to be, like we surprised at the outcome. Look at all this carnage. Ain't this your signature?
Well, yes.
Uh-huh. Right. Then you agreed to that. Now, go to the next graphic. I want to read this. Now, I watched a show entitled Home Sweet Murder. A woman overwhelmed with the struggles of her married with kids lifestyle sought relief. She found her relief by murdering her husband, her son, one of her daughters, and was planning to kill the youngest daughter. What was worse is she convinced one of the daughters to help her do all the other murders. These were church-going people, singing in the choir and presenting themselves as if they had it all together, while they were in fact being overwhelmed by the living conditions they were living in. Let's go to Galatians chapter 6. See, as all these other things start to come upon us, you have to start paying attention to the weight that you are allowing to be placed upon yourself. At some point, we have to find some measures to release pressure. Galatians chapter 6, and let's read verses 1 through 10.
Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, you which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of meekness, considering yourself, lest you also be tempted.
Right. This is very deep. If people would pay attention to this. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault. See, what happens is somebody does something that ain't quite right. Then you get in there, and instead of helping him, look at that, you just won't do all that, that's what you get. Not considering yourself, then what does he do? Yahweh allow that very thing to come back on you because of how you dealt with them when they were overtaken in a fault. So he turned around and let that same thing in a different way come unto you. And it's all based on how you dealt with that other individual. So you brought this on you. Go ahead.
Bear you one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of the Mashiach.
Right. If you're going to help each other with the burden, then you're not going to deal with that in an adversarial way. But if all you can do is be about you, you can't bear nobody else's burden. That's how you find out who brothers and sisters are and who cousins. So you find out them cousins don't deal with nobody but their stuff. And that's why you're happy every time a cousin leave the congregation. Because they were never going to deal with nothing but things that concern them and their family. And you know when Yahweh at work, because while they on their way out the door, you got a group of people standing at the door begging to come in. That's Yahweh. Go ahead.
You know, even in this part 2, bear you one another's burdens. But if you're not willing to talk about what you got going on, and nobody can help you bear it.
Exactly. Go ahead.
For if a man think himself to be something when he is nothing, he deceives himself. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone and not in another. For every man shall bear his own burden. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teaches in all good things. Be not deceived, Elohim is not mocked. For whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap.
Right. Whatever you put out there, that's what's coming back to you. When I was little, my mama always taught me there's a scorekeeper in the sky. Even without teaching me any biblical teachings, I never forgot that. There's a scorekeeper in the sky. So whatever you put out there, make sure you get ready for it to come back to you. And the last thing I wanted to do is be some old dude all flabby and sick, and I got all this stuff coming back at me, you know, that I done did in my 20s, but, you know, I'm slow, you know. Stop! Quit it! No! But see, you done forgot what you put out there when it show back up to you. No, let me get mine now. I don't want to be, you know what I'm saying, no more. The last thing I watched the series of Mike Tyson knockouts. There's some of those dudes that had no business being in that ring with Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? When they trying to bob and weave, it's so much stomach moving. When someone was moving, I was like, oh man, he's going to last 16 seconds. I was wrong, it was 14. Pow! He out. He had no business being in there. Look here, Larry Holmes, why are you in there? Why are you in there? Last thing I want. You should think about that. Whatever you think about, what you sow, you're going to reap. What that means is what you plant in the ground, that's what's going to grow. It don't plant and grow in the same day. You plant in this season, it grows in another season. So you plant it when you're 20. It come back when you're 45. Why's all this turmoil in here? Somebody got to tell you, come here, let me talk to you for a second. You remember that time, make sure ain't nobody looking. You remember that time we was over there behind the CVS? Oh, yeah, that's what's happening in your house right now. Right. See, we done forgot all that. One thing about Karma, she has an impeccable memory. She never forgets anything. And just because you don't remember it, don't mean jack to Karma. She'll draw you a picture. Oh, don't worry about it. I'll bring back to your remembrance what happened. Okay, now see, this is you right here. You was on the northwest side right here, okay? And then what you did was you made a beeline off on this side right here. Remember, is it coming back to you? Yes, I'm judging you for that. But Miss Karma, that was 20 years ago. I've been busy. You ain't the only person I got to deal with. It just took me a while to get to you. But I'm here, and I'm not leaving until I'm finished. Right. Go ahead, bro.
You know, with that said, you kind of answered, because if you look at verse 2, it says, bear you one another's burdens, right?
Uh-huh.
Then number 5 says, for every man shall bear his own burden. So you'd be like, well, how are we supposed to bear one another? No, you're going to give account for what you did.
Oh, yeah. Believe that. Go ahead.
Verse 8, for he that sows to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that sows to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap everlasting life. And let us not be weary in well-doing.
Let us not be weary in well-doing. Look, I've been doing well for so long, I'm sick of it. I just want to do some evil right now. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
For in due season we shall reap, if we faint not.
We shall reap if we faint not. Go ahead.
As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith.
Now understand, that household of faith goes two ways. There's a household of faith that's in your house if they're walking in the word. Then there's the household of faith here. What happens when doing good to the household of this faith means dealing with somebody in the household of your faith at home? Do you now act like you don't see it? All you're doing is proving that Yahweh can't use you. That's all you're doing. I want to I'll read this. I don't know how many people remember this story of Andrea Yates. Andrea Yates was the valedictorian of her high school, the captain of her swim team, and a nurse by trade. She ended up having 5 children. Their names were Noah, Luke, John, Paul, and the only daughter named Mary. Just by hearing these names, you can tell that they were all names from the Bible. Noah 7, John 5, Paul 3, Luke 2, and 6-month-old Mary, all of whom she drowned to death in the bathtub. On June 20th, 2001, Andrea had attempted suicide twice and was diagnosed with postpartum depression. She homeschooled her kids while her husband worked. She became overwhelmed with day-to-day activities. Her condition gradually grew worse. In fact, she was warned not to have more kids. She and her husband continued having kids until, of course, the horrible day of the kids' drowning death. I think when they first told her not to have any more kids, they were at kid number 3. She drowned them one by one, placed them in their beds. When the authorities arrived, the oldest was still floating in the tub. Some people suffer because the help they received didn't work, while others suffer because they never sought help. So the state of them becoming overwhelmed was in fact a self-inflicted wound. At some point, you have to ask yourself, am I going to give my wife or my family what they want, or am I going to give them what they need? A man has to stand as a man and decide what that's going to be. When it was said that her condition kept getting worse, having more babies and causing her to have more postpartum depression was making a worse situation. So then continuing to bring babies in the world, they turn around and lost all of them. So more ended up becoming less. So you have to ask yourself, are you willing to make the stand to do the necessary things, or do you just keep trying to make individuals happy and end up being the saddest individual on the planet? This man lost 4 boys and a little girl, all on the same day. You know how hard it is to have 4 boys? He lost 4 boys and a daughter in one day. Let's go to Luke chapter 21. So no doubt the signs of being overwhelmed was there. She just didn't get there. This was going on from child number 3. And if you pay attention to the times, see, sometimes people think that a child is going to fill the void, and it ends up making them more overwhelmed. The ages 7, 5, 3, 2, and 6 months. Come on now, it take 9 months to have a baby now. So look at the time in between. So you got one still in diapers, and then another one show up. You barely changed the first set of diapers. This worked. Luke chapter 21, and let's read verses 20 through 28.
And when you shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that desolation therefore is near.
So, understand, a lot of these things we may be looking at like, yeah, that's messed up what happened to them. Understand something. As all these things start to come about and the redemption of the children of Israel comes near, we are going to have levels and waves of spiritual weight placed upon us. How you react to it means a lot. Go ahead.
Let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled.
The days of vengeance. So, I tell you, karma always late, but I promise you, she gonna show up. We call her karma, but her daddy call her judgment. Understand, she coming. Go ahead.
But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days, for there shall be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And they shall fall by the edge of the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. And Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles, until the times of the Gentiles be fulfilled. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear.
Men's hearts failing them for fear. We're talking about being so afraid that you have a heart attack. Go ahead.
And for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heavens shall be shaken.
Right. See, our spread out congregational family that's in Florida, that's in California, they felt earth shaking. Amen. When we feel something shaking, it'd be like, man, that brother got some boom in that car. That's the only thing we know about shaking. When ground starts shaking, hey, bro, we ain't never felt nothing like that before. And it's talking about shaking everywhere. It ain't just talking about, it was shaking down the street. No, he said the earth. Go ahead.
And then shall you see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. And when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draws near.
Your redemption draws near, but it's going to come with some turmoil. And you, to overcome, you're going to have to endure some things and not be overwhelmed. And just by watching how some individuals just turn a blind eye to the things that go on in their house, you're going to have some real problems here shortly. Because we're about to have so many levels of things come at us, you can't keep turning a blind eye. Brother, read the information on that next graphic right there. Because I know y'all been watching the news and the things have been kicking up. Read this note right here.
Vladimir Putin of Russia made a statement proclaiming that any nation that interferes with his military campaign will suffer consequences greater than anything that their country has endured in its history. Previously, Putin stated that Russia possesses weapons to ensure that America will not be able to fight wars the way they have in the past. Meaning that America destroys other countries while feeling none of those bombardments on their home soil.
Right. They always fight somewhere else. Putin said, no. We're going to make sure that it will never happen like that again. See, for every bomb you send somewhere else, we're going to make sure you feel one. See, our people can't even deal with a traffic jam. Let them send a bomb and hit the ramps at Spaghetti Junction. We have road rage if the light too long. Okay? The light been red too long. Pow, pow, pow. Do you know what traffic gonna be like if they just take out one ramp on Spaghetti Junction? And let me tell you something. All them people are angry now. So now, you know, you just gonna have to be driving with your stuff, you know. Don't do it, bro. Don't do it. Don't do it. Look what that brother? That brother got a stick, but he ain't changing no gears. Anything. Cause he got to have this other hand. He done tore up the car by the time he get there. Cause he got to drive with his hand on his tool. If people get upset at one red light, what you think is going to happen to people's mental when they start taking out the main intersection points? Go ahead.
There are some political analysts that say the crisis in Ukraine is a direct result of America's attempt to make Ukraine a NATO country.
Uh-huh.
They say
while they look as though they're standing innocently and that they had nothing to do, Russia just had an unprovoked attack. Oh, my goodness. But what the West has done is to try to put a NATO country right on their border. Mm-hmm. That was grounds for war, but that's not the part that we're going to hear on CNN. You're going to have to go somewhere else, and then you hear that part. That no, what you're hearing and seeing from Russia is a reaction to your action. But they're selling it like it's just, you know, Russia just, you know, came out the snow one day and said, you know what? Go ahead.
They say if America had left Ukraine alone, Putin would have left Ukraine alone.
So we have these situations that are developing, and now we also know that right at the same time, China decided they were going to start some little mess as well. So they going to go over there and say, hey, Taiwan really belong to us too. So, you know, we just finna fly over there just so America can understand. Hey, you go over there if you want to. You go over there, I'm going to see if you're going to come over here and defend them too. And understand, Taiwan is a much bigger asset than Ukraine could ever be. Ukraine ain't important to us. Taiwan is. The reason some of y'all probably can't get your brand new vehicles because the chips in Taiwan hadn't been made. Y'all been looking, I want that Ford truck so bad. But they told me that they can't get them because the chips ain't here. Right. Because these geniuses decide to let the chips that run their automobiles and all their machinery, those chips are being made in Taiwan. So if China gets control of Taiwan, they now control the chips that everybody in the world uses. And you know what China gonna do. Come on. These are the people who make the best counterfeits in the world. You go to the flea market, you find Lucci, Ducci, you find everything. You know what I'm saying? You be like, man, that's a fly Ducci, ain't it? Yeah, boy, I got this down there at the flea market. Yeah, man, Wong sold it to me, you know? And some people don't know the difference. They just, you know, the Chinese just change one word, you know, or one letter. You actually think you got a real Gucci until somebody be like, no, that's a D. What? You mean this ain't real? No, that's not real. So think about China selling fake chips or chips that have a back door that allows them to get in. So Taiwan is a much bigger problem. Everybody got a phone? What if China gets control and could backdoor into everybody's phone? What Ukraine has is of nowhere near importance as that. So everybody's paying attention to the Ukraine situation. Oh, that Taiwan situation. And I didn't know this right away. But when you want good electronics, you want them to come from Taiwan, not China. Because China sell the stuff that break while you know what I'm saying? You be right in the middle, listen to your stereo, boom, 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 boom. Ah, yeah, boom, 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 boom. And smoke just shoot up from your amp. Turn it over, made in China. Damn. But when you go to them dudes and they got them stereos made in Taiwan, boy, you be like, hey man, is this like a concert amp? What is this? Nah, brother, I got this from Taiwan. I mean, they stuff be on point. They don't have the cheap stuff like you get from China, because you don't even know the stuff real. You don't know what you're getting from them. So if they take control of that, you talking some big problems. And these countries are coming together because they are tired of the things that are coming from the West, which is going to add another level of weight upon us as we're watching all of these things. Let's go to Joel chapter 2. Joel chapter 2. And we're going to start that at verse 1.
9:31.
All right, appreciate it. Man, it's warm up in here, bro.
It's warm.
I ain't got my phone.
Joel chapter 2 and verse 1. Blow you the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahweh comes, for it is near at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong, there has not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. A fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burns. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run.
Right, and we think that we're going to have some problems seeing certain military equipment coming from Russia and China. Understand, we're talking about an all-out assault when Yahshua gets here. And they're going to combine all of they're talking about, hey, they got stuff that goes, so fast. They got hypersonic gliders. They got all of this wonderful weaponry. And Yahshua going to be on a horse. But understand, it's a bad horse. Oh my goodness, it's a bad horse. Go ahead.
Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devours the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array. Before their face the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness.
So then we're talking about fire and thick smoke. Go ahead.
They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. And they shall march everyone on his ways. And they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another. They shall walk everyone in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded.
Right. Saying that they're going to have so many, even when it looked like some done died, something else take its place. Go ahead.
They shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall. They shall climb up upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining.
The very things that you find offered by Yahshua in the New Testament as well. Go ahead.
And Yahweh shall utter his voice before his army. For his camp is very great, for he is strong that executes his word. For the day of Yahweh is great and very terrible, and who can abide it?
The day of Yahweh is great and very terrible. Go ahead.
Therefore also now, says Yahweh, turn you even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning.
Do we even know how to do anything with our whole heart? See, we think we put our all into something. See, your all does not come when you are in comfort. Your all comes when you are in discomfort. So that all that you think you're doing now, that you think is an acceptable offering, understand something. You ain't had enough weight on you yet to give your whole and all of your heart. See, a man can run when he wants something. But when that pit bull get loose, he run with all his heart. All his heart. He find, he reach down deep. He gets strength, power, and speed from somewhere. Why? Because a weight is on him. That's how you give your all. You don't give your all in comfort. Go ahead.
And rend your heart and not your garments, and turn unto Yahweh your El. For he is gracious and merciful, slow to anger.
Slow to anger. We were made in the image of our Elohim. So we have to figure out how to be slow to anger. Yahweh gets angry. But look at how many times we have to tick Yahweh off before he goes there. Go ahead.
And of great kindness, and repents him of the evil. Who knows if he will return and repent, and leave a blessing behind him, even a meat offering and a drink offering unto Yahweh your El. Blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly. Gather the people, sanctify the congregation, assemble the elders, gather the children, and those that suck the breast. Let the bridegroom go forth of his chamber, and the bride out of her closet. Let the priests, the ministers of Yahweh, weep between the porch and the altar.
Let the priests, the ministers of Yahweh, weep between the porch and the altar. Just seeing the stuff that is going to come upon our people is going to be vexation. If you just look into the news, man, see how many things our people are doing now. It is a lot. And you start to see a wave of war is going to be waged against us, and it's already being waged now. On several fronts. Go ahead.
And let them say, spare your people, O Yahweh, and give not your heritage to reproach, that the heathen should rule over them. Wherefore should they say among the people, where is their Elohim? Then will Yahweh be jealous for his land and pity his people. Yea, Yahweh will answer and say unto his people, Behold, I will send you corn and wine and oil, and you shall be satisfied therewith. And I'll no more make you a reproach among the heathen. But I'll remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. And his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he has done great things. Fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for Yahweh will do great things. Be not afraid, you beast of the field, for the pastures of the wilderness do spring. For the tree bears her fruit, the fig tree and the vine do yield their strength. Be glad then, you children of Zion, and rejoice in Yahweh your Elohim. For he has given you the former rain moderately, and he will cause to come down for you the rain, the former rain, and the latter rain in the first month. And the floors shall be full of wheat, and the fats shall overflow with wine and oil.
Right, you shall be able to sustain yourself. See, if you're reading this and you're not appropriating it right, you're trying to figure out, hey man, you talking about war equipment, you talking about oil and wine. I don't know oil and wine. Give me a Uzi. Drop down a Draco or something. They don't drop down no wheat. These folks shooting. No, I got you. See, we depend on our adversaries for even our sustenance. They shut down our stores, we can't eat. You find out that is a logistical move of war. even shutting down these grocery stores in these areas. That's logistical war moves. The very thing that they said, we see what Russia's doing. And Russia kept lying, no, we just looking. We just going down there looking at the mountains. Boy, they were cutting off things. They were doing all kind of stuff. All kind of things happened before war actually it started. We think war start when you start hearing the guns. No. When they start messing with Ukraine, the West had already started the war. Go ahead.
And I will restore you the years that the locust has eaten, the cankerworm and the caterpillar and the palmer worm, my great army which I sent among you.
All those things that have been taken from us, Yahweh gonna make us get it all back. Go ahead.
And you shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of Yahweh your El that has dealt wondrously with you.
Now, you read this and you like, okay, he talking about war equipment and food. Hold on now. When we went against Yahweh, what were we talking about? Food.
Then what happened to the garlic and the leeks and the fish?
So Yahweh like, remember now that this what I had to beat y'all to a pulp for last time. He know his people. Go ahead.
And my people shall never be ashamed, and you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel, and that I am Yahweh your El, and none else, and my people shall never be ashamed.
All right. Did you finish that up?
Yep, verse 27.
All right. When we deal with all of these things, we have to understand that to not become overwhelmed, there are things that we're going to have to overcome. As it is written, he that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. To him that overcomes, will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of Elohim. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. He that overcomes shall not be hurt of the second death. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. To him that overcomes will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knows, saving he that receives it. And he that overcomes and keeps my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. He that overcomes, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. He that overcomes will I make a pillar in the temple of my Elohim, and he shall go no more out, and I will write upon him the name of my Elohim, and the name of the city of my Elohim, which is New Jerusalem, which comes down out of heaven from my Elohim, and I will write upon him my new name. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that overcomes shall inherit all things, and I will be his Elohim, and he shall be my son. For us to overcome, we must not be overwhelmed. That's all we're going to do for today. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.